Welcome to Frogtown,
Hey,
John.
thank you, Rex. I brought a little musical frog here.
Oh, yeah?
Then there's the real ones.
The fish are biting.
Yeah.
Let's take a walk. John Densmore, drummer of the Doors, you've just written a book that we're going to talk about. As we stroll down the LA River here in Frogtown, we're going to talk about this remarkable book. I just happen to have a copy here, and it's a hardcover. Look at this.
Yeah, Shepard Fairey did the cover, who's a Frogtown dude. And he made me look, my hair looks better than in reality, but you know.
PR. Well, also art. And Shepard Fairey is one of the great artists of LA. We'll talk about him later too, but I love this cover, love his work, and love this book, which has 24 chapters 24 chapters, including an introduction by Viggo Mortensen, the terrific actor and poet and great supporter of the arts in LA.
Yeah.
Beyond Baroque being one of them. But you do the
24,
book, The book involves meetings with 24 people, everyone from your junior high music teacher to your mom, to Willie Nelson, the Dalai Lama.
What an eclectic group.
It's amazing. And
Rex, I never thought that I would have my mom and Lou Reed together in a book.
Well, hey, walk on the wild side. You know, I want to just read some of the reviews, not all of them, but some that talk about your book.
Thanks.
This is John Doe of X, one of the great Los Angeles bands. And what John Doe says is John Densmore wrote this book about great artists he's known in the same fashion that he plays drums and lives his life. He understands and demonstrates the value of both silence and sound, space and statement. All the while, John brings us backstage to the parties and the personalities that have inspired greatness and been cautionary tales of excess. John Densmore proves that it's never too late to grow, and these are teachable moments from the life of a master.
You know, John Doe just filled my head with helium after that quote. Jesus Christ. But love him.
So John, meet Lewis McAdams, one of the great LA poets, and you know what he says?
If it's not impossible, I'm not interested.
Yes. On this monument here in Lewis McAdams Riverfront Park, we have some of Lewis's poetry. Would you like to read a couple of short poems that are right on the monument?
Look, she pointed excitedly. Frogs! Frogs, I shouted back. We ran over to take their pictures, to take back to the other humans, to prove to them that all was not yet lost in the race to rebuild the ozone layer.
All right.
Okay, Lewis. All right, now I'm gonna hide. No. Wait a minute. Solitude continuum. If it is true what the Buddhists say, self-disgust is the first step towards enlightenment. Then I am on the road again. Dear Lord of language, of gestures, and of moves, lead me on. You know, beautiful.
Beautiful. This river is Tongva territory, Chumash territory. It's never been sold, never leased, and we are on their land
Yeah,
And their spirit is here all
definitely.
the time.
You know, today I dressed like LA. I got a Chicano shirt and surfer beach pants. I was born in Santa Monica. My mom was born in Santa Monica in 1904. But I always say we are not native. The Chumash were the first people. We're second.
Indeed. You said about Joseph Campbell when you met him, I didn't know I was performing at a Dionysian festival rite when playing drums with the Doors until I read this guy, Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
Well, there's a chapter on Joseph Campbell in The Seekers, but I want to ask you, what else didn't you know? Why did you become a seeker?
In a way, everybody's a seeker. I mean, somehow, don't we all, whether you got a lot of deep pockets or whatever, there's this yearning. I wanted to give a tip of the hat
Yes.
to artists who inspired me.
Ah.
And that's what this is. But also, I want to say that even if you play the piano in a closet and no one hears it, or you paint a painting that no one sees, or whatever the fuck, you're still entering the same zone as these icons. And it's 20 minutes, half hour, however long you can fit in. It's medicine for the soul. It's, especially during the pandemic madness, it's like a meditation. And so I hope that comes through, as well as reading about your heroes. You know, I got a poem I want to read. Maybe I'll read it now.
Okay.
It's by Luis Rodriguez,
Oh, Luis.
buddy of mine, turned his life over through poetry and art, and became the poet laureate of LA for a few years. And this poem is from his first book called Concrete River, about what we're looking at. All right, you ready? Our backs pressed up against a corrugated steel fence along the dried banks of a concrete river. Spray-painted outpourings on walls offer a chaos of color for the eyes. Home for now. Hidden in weeds, furnished with stained mattresses and plastic milk crates, wood planks thrust into thick branches serve as a roof. The door is a torn cloth curtain, knock before entering. Home for now, sandwiched in between the maddening days. This river, this concrete river, becomes a streaming, bubbling snake of water, pouring over nightmares of wakefulness, pouring out a rush of birds, a flow of clear liquid on a cloudless day. Not like the black oil stain we lie in, not like the factory air engulfing us, not this plastic death in a can. Sun rays dance on the surface. Crayfish fidget below the sheen. And us looking like Huckleberry Finns and Tom Sawyers with stick fishing poles as dew drips off low branches as if it were Earth's breast milk.
Well, all right.
Thank you, Louis.
Luis Rodriguez.
I mean, that completely nails it.
Well, your heroes, my heroes, but in the natural world, there are all sorts of phenomena that are not necessarily in human form. And the music of the spheres that you talk about exists in the most unexpected places. And here in Frogtown, we're going to encounter some remarkable people, artists, musicians, but also this place. And I'm going to show you something now. I discovered this one night coming home from the Frogtown Brewery.
And were you, I was going to say, were you inebriated a
Well,
little?
let's just say I was inspired. And each of these rail sections has a different timbre, a different resonance.
Yeah.
And there are certain stretches that ring like bells. And I have observed secret markings on these.
Oh,
And they indicate which ones are in tune
Wow.
and which ones are alto and which ones are basso.
Wow.
And along the way,
Okay.
we will see some. Look at this one right here. That's a little higher. Here. Yeah.
Hit myself in the face.
Later, we're gonna meet some drummers,
Oh yeah.
and I got my claves, and we'll have a good time with them.
Great.
But here we are on this bike path, and I want to ask you a little bit about some of the artists that you talk about in here.
Okay.
So, beginning with, your mom Peggy is one of the first characters that we meet in this.
Yeah.
Remarkable, and she was a painter.
Yep.
And you say that painting is frozen music.
You know, and she said, she lived in 94. She said, by the way, I was very touched by your piece on your mom.
Oh, thank you very much.
She said, when I have pain, I paint. I went, oh, wise. She knows something in that zone, that meditative medicine zone of creating art. What struck me is that the second or third chapter is about my drum idol, Elvin Jones. And so I'm writing that us drummers, and I realize everybody, the first drum beat we all hear is in the womb. It's the mom's heartbeat. So of course my mom opens the book. I didn't realize that till later, you know. So that kind of was a revelation. And let me say that if you're a musical ensemble, a duet or a 40-piece orchestra like the LA Phil 80-piece, both ensembles are trying to play as one person. And that's trying to get back to the birth canal, the heartbeat. That's what makes people dance or whatever, is that pocket. And so, thanks, Mom.
But you have a great sense of humor. I love when you said, I'm not crazy about her work.
It's okay. It's okay. She loves you. Yeah. Some of it, but the passion of it.
Yes.
She just.
That was what always counts,
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing.
Well, you know, mothers and sons, there's always some friction.
So, you know, you also said that art releases us from the trap of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet, it's all about time when you're
That's
drumming.
really interesting. So, the first job of a drummer is to find that pulse. And it might be a ballad, so it's slow, or a fast rock thing, so it's fast. But once you count off the tune, you have to stay with that count off, the time of that count off, the pulse. And if you get in there and really have good time, somehow you get timelessness. It gets you in this zone where people trip out and get possessed in voodoo or dance or weep or whatever.
It's all about the contradictions and the space in between.
Silence and sound. It's bizarre.
Yes, well, Lewis said in the center of the river is silence.
Nice.
We're on the patio of a bakery called Just What I Needed. Marley, say hi to John.
Hi, John.
Densmore.
Nice
Hey,
to
Marley.
meet you. My name's Marley.
So here,
Introduce me.
So here we come to Alan Anderson, who is the West Coast proprietor, one of the West Coast practitioners of surfboard making for grain surfboards. Alan, how did you come to be making surfboards on the LA River?
I went to these guys online. They're in Maine, believe it or not. Maine actually has surf, decent surf, and good people, really good people.
My dad was from York, Maine, so
That's where this is, dude.
we're into respect for our dads.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I became a partner about 6 or 8 months later, and the West Coast rep shortly after that. And so it's been 12 years, I think, something like that. And that's what we do. We make a kit. We say, if you want to build a board, here's how you do it. You can either build it yourself or you fly back to Maine, or in certain cases, we do classes out here on the West Coast. I have an old school bus that says Green Surfboards on it and a trailer, and we drive it from place to place, set up. And Patagonia, for instance, loves us. It's
Alan,
really
would
cool.
you say that you yourself, being a co-founder of the Elysian Valley Arts Collective, you are an artist, one of the artists here in Frogtown?
I suppose you could say that.
Well, then we did.
Surfers have been called a lot of things, right?
Well, that's art right there.
That's a
Come
beautiful
on,
piece of artwork.
you know? Okay, so I'm roaming around Frogtown meeting various artists, and we stumbled upon this beautiful drummer, this master drummer, doing a drum circle, who I met many years ago, and I'm so honored to see Ayo again.
Adokwe Eshe,
Ashe.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's just like
Can you
this
tell me
one.
about the drum? How did
Yeah.
it start, or whatever?
Drum is the language that put us all together, the voice that put us all together.
Yeah.
They call it the voice of the ancestors. The reason why they call it the voice of the ancestor is some soul go into the making of a drum.
Ah.
That's how come the drum come to life.
Let's have a little musical conversation.
Ashe,
Huh?
ashe.
What,
So
what do you
be it.
say?
Gro go go do go do do. Gro gro gro. Otata go go do go do.
Tikida.
Oh, amo.
Tididana.
Bata gro do ba.
Tididana, didida, dididim da.
Gida da dirigida.
Gatitana,
Dirigida. Da dirigida gada da ti. Bah. You know, you call a response. Bah. Call. That's what's going on.
Can you play a
You
little
know?
something?
Kwata kwata gro do good. And well, you know, that's language, you know. The spirit that brought it out must be somewhere. And what this spirit here is going to play is going to be probably something else. So, but the mixture of them all probably should make some beautiful togetherness.
Yeah.
Pat.
Hello there.
Pat Bylard, I'd like you to meet John Densmore. Densmore, Pat Bylard. We're here in the Frogtown woodworking shop and studio that is the birthplace of a whole new kind of drum. And somehow I feel like the river, which is steps away from us, is a big influence. And, you know, just the way Frogtown has its own sort of beat. But, John, Pat's going to tell us, I think, if we're lucky, about how he came to invent something called
the Cojongo. Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to reach across here real quick. It simply started off with this little guy as a request by a Latin jazz pro by the name of Jose Hernandez, who goes by the stage name of Perico. And he's a Cuban that helped row the boat to get here back in the 70s and had been playing the congas and the drums of all sorts in his native land. And knowing him as a friend, family friend, and also a customer, he knew that I did woodwork. He came to me and asked me if I would make him a special bongo. I went through a little evolution of creating something that I could get consistent. And so this is the end run here.
You keep talking.
Yeah. So with that, that's it.
Hey-o. Stop, 'cause I'm not till the morning come.
Daylight come and I want to go home. I thought, what can I do that would be different? I don't want to do the same thing, try the same thing, copy somebody else. And it hit me. Take and adapt the two distinct pitches of the bongo to the cajon.
Yeah,
Typically the cajon is one face.
right.
Well, in getting the idea of getting the two distinct pitches,
Yeah.
I created a chamber.
Great.
Separate chamber and an open back to it. Okay? Now, that created, just a second. That created the,
Right.
there you go.
Ah.
So from there, I decided that working with a friend of mine who builds shekares, excuse me for stepping in front of you there, those type of things. We were doing a little show and I decided I wanted to use some beads. Tried one evolution that didn't work out real well. And then I decided if I put them on a wood block and put them inside the cajon in the upper chamber,
Right.
which goes on Velcro so they can be changed out. They're interchangeable and exchangeable for different styles and sounds, sizzles and pops.
Right.
Then we would have the snare. And I wished I'd thought of it. I can't claim it, I'll be honest with you. I never thought that chambering this thing would actually isolate the snare from the bass.
Whoa.
So now we have a basic little kit here. We've got a kick, a tom, and a snare.
An entire drum kit.
A little
And you
kit,
can
yeah.
sit on it.
Yeah, I've converted a few kit players that thought, well, you know, there's just so one-dimensional, the cajon. Well, no longer. So that's my my little claim to no fame, but I've done it with the impetus of creating something that others could get their hands on and create again with. Spreading that creation, just keep that creation flowing. People that hear the music jive, they dance, they go, oh man, I want to pick up an instrument, I want to try something. So it's just like, that's what it's all about.
Well, thank you, Pat. That was
Creation,
Thank you.
Yeah.
creation continues.
Thank you, Johnny.
So here we are in Pat's incredible drum world. And it just so happens that the second chapter of my new book, The Seekers, is about my music teacher. And to my left is Alvaro, a former music teacher of 30-odd years. Tell us about that a little bit. How was it? For me, you know, you go through school and some teachers are just sort of making you memorize stuff and you can tell they're not passionate about what they're doing. And then there's one or two teachers that there's something. It's not even what they're saying. You can feel, and I felt that with my music teacher. And I got hooked. And so Take it away, Alvaro.
Well, I think in any field, if you don't have passion, why are you there?
Exactly. Yeah, sure.
So true.
So how was it teaching for 30 years?
It was I had a ball.
Ah, good. And you taught band, orchestra, the whole deal.
The whole deal.
Yeah, yeah,
Band, orchestra, choir,
yeah.
music appreciation.
And you're a flautist, yeah?
Yes.
That's your main.
I play sax too.
Alto or tenor?
Tenor.
Nice.
Tenor, alto.
Can we hear a little, Doctor? What's your name?
Buck.
All right, Buck frequented this club where we all grew up and learned our trade.
I'm a huge Dolores fan. I know John anywhere. And,
You look fit.
Trying to, sir.
Yeah. Sir. Wait,
Well,
I
you
call
know
you
what I mean.
sir.
I have a lot of respect for you, John.